Hi and welcome to the second part of our World of Warcraft add-ons development series. Today we're going to be building a music player. We'll be able to say /play sound, and that /play sound will give us the ability to select from a variety of sounds. For example, we have /play sound ding, we have /play sound murloc, and so on. Our add-on will be available inside of the add-ons tab, and it will be called Music Player with the following description. So by the end of this video, you'll have created an add-on which allows you to play music and other sound files inside of the game. As always, you can read the textual version of this video over at developer.school, where we go through the exact same process we'll be doing inside of the video. And it all starts on Wowheads. This allows us to find different sounds, such as this murloc aggro sound. We can then hit database and then select sounds. And from this list, we can not only listen to the various sounds on offer, but also if we select one such as murloc aggro, we can select links and then copy the in-game sound command. This then allows us to paste this inside of the chat box inside of the game, and then we should hear. We can go ahead and find as many sounds as we want, but essentially all we're looking for is that ID. When it comes to finding music files, another site we can look at is wow.tools. So if we head over to wow.tools and we select from the files at the top, we could, inside of the search box, type in something like main_theme, and that gives us the file name for the WoW main theme. It also gives us the FDID, and for clients on 8.2 and above, you will need to use this FDID, but for Classic, we can get away with using this file name. So for example, if you copy paste from the article, or you just simply copy paste in the WoW main theme into a script which says play music, we should be able to hear the WoW main theme music. We can stop that by typing /script stop music, and that will return the music to the previous music that is playing for that zone. With that in mind, we can now create our music player add-on using these play music, play sound, and stop music commands. So I've gone ahead and created a music player folder inside my interface add-ons folder, and I've created this title of music player, the current interface which we looked at how to get the ID from in the previous video, as well as notes, author tags, and so on. One important thing to remember is to add the musicplayer.lua file, as that tells the add-on which file to load. We also have this sounds directory, which has a custom.mp3, and that's because we're going to be using a custom sound file as well as the in-game music and in-game sounds. We can head over to the music player Lua file, and we can make a new /command. If you remember how that's done, it's done by saying /_, and we want to make sound1 equal to /play sound. We can then say local function. We want to make a play sound handler. Inside of the function, we can just simply have a print statement which says play sound, and then we can end the function. Finally, we can register this with the World of Warcraft client by saying /command list, pass in our sound handler like that. We can go ahead and underneath that make a function called the stop sound handler, and this one will just be the same. We'll say print stop sound. We can copy paste this, set stop sound to the stop sound handler, and then make a /stop sound 1. Now if we head over to our WoW client and we type in /reload, it'll reload the UI, and we can say play sound and stop sound. And if we excuse the little typo at the bottom, we should be able to see both of the print statements. Now in order to play these sounds inside of our add-on, we can make a table named sounds. This will contain information about the sound that we'd like to play. Now the easiest way to do this for us is to simply copy paste it from the article as well as the sound type, and when we do that, we can explain exactly what's going on here. So we have this sound type, and that allows us to determine whether this type of sound is an in-game sound, whether it's game music, or whether it's a custom sound file that we've added. Then for each one of our sounds, we have this table which allows us to have an item, and then some properties such as the sound, a description of the sound, and the sound type. So for each new sound, we'd add this indicator of, for example, Murloc or Ding or main theme. This is essentially the command that the user would type in. Then we have some information about that sound, which allows us to play that sound using the WoW client. You will notice that I have got a custom sound file that we spoke about before that's pointed at our interface, add-ons, music player, sounds directory in which we have that custom.mp3. Do keep in mind there's nothing special about this sounds folder. You can simply call it whatever you want. It just made sense to call it sounds for our purpose. So with that in mind, now let's go ahead and make a display sound list function. And the only purpose of that function will be to display the sounds inside of the game. So let's make a local function called display sound list. We'll add an end at the bottom. And then we're going to print this line statement at the top and then print one underneath. And inside of that, we're going to make a for loop. The for loop can have a for, which we'll say command in pairs of sounds. We want to do something, and we'll add an end statement at the bottom. So what exactly is going on here? Well, we're iterating over every one of the sounds inside of that sounds table, and that will allow us to print out, for example, the command that the user needs to type in, such as play sound, space, then we'll add a concatenation of the command. Don't worry if this doesn't make sense right now, it will in just a moment when we replace the play sound with a display sound list. If we head back over to World of Warcraft, we should be able to say /reload, then at this point, /play sound. You'll notice that we now have inside of our chat box a commands section. We can also then go ahead and add a description to each one of these commands. Let's capture the description by saying local description is equal to the sounds where we have the command.description. So this is essentially for every single sound, we want that description item, and we can then concatenate that with the other string. We could have just as easily tucked the description out and put that inside of the print statement like that. I think it reads a little better if we take away the description and we simply put it as its own variable, but you can do whatever suits you. Now we can type /reload, we can then play sound once again, and we have the description as well as the command. Now that we have a sound list, we have to give the user the ability to play a sound. So this all starts inside of this play sound handler. We can add a track ID, and this will be a parameter that gets passed in when we type the /play sound command. And we can start off by checking to see whether the string length of the track ID is greater than 0. Then if it is, we'll do something, but for now we'll just end. Let's handle the case where it isn't and somebody hasn't passed a string into it. They've just typed /play sound. Well, we can add an else to this. We can say else display sound list. So if we reload and we type /play sound but give this anything else, such as hello, we get nothing. But if we type /play sound, we get the list. This means when we type /play sound with a command that it's getting fired into this section of our if statement. So we can check to see whether it matches a known track. And that's done by saying if the sound ID, by saying sounds track ID, we have this tilde and equal sign nil. Essentially we're saying here, if the sounds and the track ID that we've selected is not empty, then we know it matches a known track. That'll give us true or false. Because remember, a track ID will be something like Murloc, Ding, main theme, or custom. So if it doesn't match any of these words, we know that it isn't a sound that we've got. As a result, we can say if we have a matches known track, then we'll add our end statement just to close off this if statement. We want to essentially play the track. In order to know which track to play, we can make the track by saying local track is the sounds track ID, because we know this definitely does match a track ID. Then we want a play track function. So let's go ahead and make a new function called play track that takes in a track. And we can start off just by printing the track.description. And for now we can uncomment this out by saying play track and passing in the track And if we reload, we should be able to say play sound ding, and we get that description. Same goes for Murloc, and so on. We don't only just want the description, we need to play the sound, and that's done by firstly checking to see which type of track it is. So we have the if track.type is equal to the sound type dot game music. Then we want to play music for that track dot sound. We can add an end here. We can also tell the user at this point that if they want to stop the music, type /stop sound. In order to stop the sound, we can head over to our stop sound handler and we can have a stop music function, and this will stop any music that is currently playing. Next up, we can do an else if the track.type is equal to the sound type.sound. Then we want to play the sound, which is that track.sound. Finally, we can either have an else, because we assume that now the only other option is to be the custom sound, or we can do another else if, where the track.type is the sound type.custom. Then we want to play a custom sound. For now, we'll just be concerned with this play sound and play music, and we'll look at a custom sound in a moment. We should now be able to head over to the WoW client and type /reload, and after that, /play sound ding. We have the ability to play sound for Murlocs, as well as the main theme. In order for the main theme to work, you will need music enabled, so this will currently overwrite the music that's playing for your user. So we should now be able to hear the main theme music. And in order to stop that, we can have /stop sound. But what about playing custom music? Well, in order to do that, we can go and create ourselves a local custom sound ID by having a local custom sound ID. And essentially what this sound ID will do, it will pick up the sound ID that is being played and allow us to cancel it at some point in the future. So here we have a custom sound ID equal to selecting the second result from play sound file, where the sound file is equal to the track.sound. If we then /reload and we have our sound enabled, we should be able to say play sound custom. And that will start playing some custom sound. But the problem is if we type /stop sound, it won't stop. And that's because by stopping the music, that doesn't necessarily stop the sound. So we need to first check to see whether our custom sound ID is not nil. And if that is the case, we'll use the stop sound function by passing in the custom sound ID, then setting the custom sound ID equal to nil. Now if we navigate back to World of Warcraft, you may have to restart the client because before we weren't keeping track of that ID. We can say play sound custom. That will start to play the custom sound, but we can now type /stop sound. That will then stop the sound and we'll no longer have to listen to that music. We can make a couple of final improvements to this. We could add an else to our matches known track. Then if, for example, it doesn't match a known track, we can display the sound list and then maybe have a message which says something like the track ID doesn't match a known track. Now if we reload the UI, we type /play sound with a random ID, it'll give us the sound list and then tell us that it doesn't match a known track. One thing you might be thinking at this point is that it seems kind of magic how we get this select to from the play sound file. For example, how do we know what is the first or second response for a particular part of the WoW API? Well, if we head over to Wowpedia, we can see the play sound file just like that. We have the will play, which I imagine is a boolean, and we have this sound handle, which is a number. And we have the return statement here, which we can look at, and we see the identifier for the queued playback. This would suggest that we have the ability to play a sound file and then in the future cancel that with this sound handle. So if at any point you're looking for how to use the World of Warcraft API, unfortunately the documentation isn't the best, but the Wowpedia and other similar sites do have some API docs which we can look at and sort of get an idea of where to go from there. So I'm starting to think about the next few videos, and I think maybe it would be good to have some UI on screen. If we had maybe a few buttons we could click, see some results, and so on. It would be good to let me know inside of the comments section below what you would like to see and learn about next. Might give us some inspiration to maybe make a fully fledged add-on throughout this series. Nonetheless, you've now created an add-on which allows you to pop things up on screen. You've also looked at the ability to work with slash commands and of course sound files. I hope you found it useful. If you have, hit the subscribe button and I'll see you soon in the next one.